Hello, Internet. Welcome back to my corner. Apologies for the delay. My computer fucking exploded because I was working too hard on these videos for you guys. But fret not, after some brief divine intervention and some new drivers, your boy is back. And, oh, I gotta be honest, I cooked with this one, guys. So if you're new here, consider subscribing so you don't miss out on any other fire-ass videos. And don't you worry, baby, I'm not going anywhere ever again. I fucking loved Resurrection, so if you're expecting me to don my resident hater cap, you'd be absolutely motherfucking right. Only slightly, though. This shit was up there with Season 1, honestly, and if you're a frequent viewer of mine, then you'd know that I think Season 1 was the absolute best season of the series. So I guess without further ado, let's start the review. Retcons. So, first things first. The best thing that Resurrection did right off the bat were these retcons, bro. They didn't do away with New Blood entirely, but they really did go out of their way to, like, put it behind them really quickly in, like, the funniest ways possible. You know, we even got an entire prequel series to make up for it too, so I'm not like super mad at it. Also, a quick disclaimer, I'm not gonna like over-explain everything just to hit a runtime and like insult your guys' intelligence. I'm just gonna assume you watched the series and know what I'm talking about. Okay, back to the video. The Logan stuff, I did not like that at all. They did Logan dirty, just like Dokes, and they made him another scapegoat figure. This was like the only retcon I actually didn't like. Dexter at this point is never gonna beat these hate crime allegations. You know what I mean? Especially with the look that this guy gives Dokes when he's flipping through the serial killer book. I also wasn't, I mean, this wasn't as bad as that, but I also wasn't a huge fan of like Teddy's SparkNotes version of events either. It was all pretty heavy-handed in my opinion with his version of like cleaning up New Blood's mistakes, but it had to be done, lol, so again, I'm not super mad at it. I'm glad they addressed it at least and swept it under the rug quickly. It wasn't something that really stifled my enjoyment, but just something that I noticed, and for the sake of transparency, I have to acknowledge it. I think they made the best out of a bad situation, honestly. I'm glad they kind of erased all the quote-unquote evidence that Angela had on Dexter as well, though, because it was just, like, nonsense and not earned at all. Although it really did make Batista look like he was basically flying by the seat of his pants all season. The best thing they did change, though, was that haircut, bro. Yikes. Like, this guy's never looked more like a serial killer with that hairline. I will say, though, I love these little quips that, like, Dexter keeps making about New Blood and, like, the seasons we don't talk about. Like, when he tells Red he wasn't being true to himself, and even when Quinn was telling Batista about how the European stripper was a bad idea. Like, I love the subtle jabs to the poor writing decisions. It's like fan service, in a way, by making what we've all been thinking for all these years, like, canon. Which makes me happy, because I feel like the Dexter showrunners and, like, the cast and the crew, they really listen to the audience, which is something you don't see very often. You know, I'm glad we're seeing it. I'm glad we're seeing Dexter as a community, you know what I mean? It's one of the reasons why the series was so good to begin with, you know? I will say, Harrison's call to action was pretty quick, but it worked on a couple levels, I think, though. For one thing, it got Dexter to the city, and two, it was a good red herring, I think, because a lot of people were convinced, myself included, that they were gonna turn Harrison into like a Dexter clone, which I'm very glad wasn't the case. They also really expedited bridging the gap between Harrison and Dexter, again, which I'm not mad about, because I do like them being a duo, and it's good seeing Dexter being able to open up to someone who isn't like dead or a fucking figment of his fucking imagination. Back to Harrison, though, they really showcase the parallels of Elsa and Gigi to, like, Rita and Lila. I think they're pretty apparent. Gigi just seems like trouble, bro. I don't know. There's something about her. It's weird. And it seems like they're trying to speedrun Harrison through similar arcs in Dexter's life as, like, an attempt to make him likable quicker, if that makes sense. Like, it's one thing for them to have callbacks to the original series, but I hope Harrison kind of gets some original content coming his way. I don't want him to just, like, rehash old Dexter arcs, because he's likable enough already, I think. You know, I think they did a good job. I think they did a good job with him, and I think Jack really shows how comfortable he's gotten, and especially working so closely with Michael C. Hall. You know, I think he's only gonna become a better actor and a better Harrison moving forward. Also, though, I think it's fucking hysterical how Harrison is his dad's biggest fan now. Like, whenever someone talks about anything remotely related to him, it's like he taps his fucking glasses and he's like, well, actually, my dad fucking, like, this shit is mad funny, bro. Like, this guy loves his dad. Sigh. I don't want to be the one to say it, but I feel like after Harrison killed Ryan, he kind of got over his grief in like the span of an episode after they solved the case. Almost like he only cared because he was gonna get in trouble. So it kind of makes me question if his grief was legitimate. He also kind of got demoted to basically Dexter's sidekick, ? After that whole scenario played out. So I don't know. Maybe I'm alone in that opinion, but let me know what you guys think. Okay, last thing on Harrison, I promise. Clyde, my guy, if you're listening, please stop with the sex scenes. I cannot deal with it. My little heart, Harrison, will forever be this innocent little baby boy in my eyes. Rita is fucking rolling over in her grave right now, watching him with a fucking mouthful of Gigi. Speaking of which, where the fuck is Rita? So, admittedly at first, I thought Blessing and his family were kind of like forced out quickly for like a hub world for Dexter, but the longer the season went on, I really found that they became a B-plot that I started caring about. Especially the funeral episode was a really big step for Blessing and his family's character development. The more we saw of them, the more I think Blessing really did earn his spot in Dexter's life. And some of the most impactful scenes and lines I think were from that funeral, honestly. From like characters we have only seen once, where the one guy told him that Prudence told him that second chances were for taking. And Dexter took that to heart. I mean, as close to heart as he can without actually having a heart. I think Blessing, as a character, thematically, he really showcases the duality in not only himself, but in the rest of the cast. And I think that's something we see a lot of in this season, especially with Harrison and Charlie as well. And it's refreshing because we're seeing complex characters again. And I think it really drives home the theme of blessings coming into your life without you even knowing it. And it's sort of up to you to like accept them or not. It's a direct parallel to this family Prater's created, which was almost too good to be true. So I'm glad this worked out really well. I didn't mind all of the serial killers in Prater's group getting like an episode dedicated to each of them. Yes, he took all of them out really quickly. I think it works because we're finally seeing a Dexter who learned his lesson. Like, he was not fucking around. Like, the second he realized they needed to die, homeboy did his thing. In a way, though, I do feel like this season was an experiment in shifting the tone of the show away from the gray area of the original series into like a more black and white version. Again, this is like my fucking go-to line, I guess. I'm not mad at it, but it's very obvious to me at least that they're trying to make Dexter likable again. But with that being said, the one killer I do wish we got more of, and who I think could have had more impact to the story, was Red. I think they painted him very strongly as a direct parallel to Dexter in the beginning, and we see that with all of the killers, honestly. But I wish we got more of a cat and mouse game between him and Red, at least another episode's worth, especially since he's such a careful guy, Red's philosophy was also very weak for the reason he kills, in my opinion, and for someone to represent a physical manifestation of Dexter's Dark Passenger, I just expected more impact from him instead of just like a quirky way to get him into Prater's club. I think that could have been explored more, basically. Like, when I think of a character to really represent Dexter's darkness, I think of someone who even kills without reason. I would prefer no reason at all than the one that they gave Red, just because it felt like a little cheap, to be honest. I loved it for what it was, though. You know what I mean? Like, when Dexter rolled his eyes at him in the car, I fucking lost my shit. I laughed so hard. I can't stress enough how much I enjoyed this season, even though I'm complaining, but that's kind of my thing. So, get gabbing or get going, bro. Fuck you mean type shit. What the fuck? There were so many highs this season. Like, literally every episode kept me on my toes, even if some of it was a little predictable. Watch my videos, though. I got, like, everything right in my predictions, basically. So, let me know what you think. Go back and watch those fucking things. But something that worries me is them not being able to have a good season of Dexter without, like, Brian or a callback to his philosophy. At the end of the day, though, like, the reason Resurrection was so good was because they managed to recapture that essence of, like, the first couple seasons, which really resonates as the true heart of Dexter. So, as the show evolves, I would personally like to see Dexter tackle some new themes moving forward. I mean, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, I guess, but whatever. I love that we're seeing Dexter be a father again, and almost, like, legitimately for the first time. Every other other time, it's almost been like very face value, like just like pretending his way through it, which I guess is all parenting is, you know what I mean? But I don't know, like Harrison's not a kid anymore. He's basically an adult now, and I don't know how much parenting we're really going to be seeing from Dexter moving forward, considering that. So I'm excited to see where it goes. Like, Harrison's not gonna really need, like, parenting, quote unquote. He's an adult, you know? If I were to talk about every high in the series, I would just talk about the entire series, you know what I mean? So, just a couple more things on it. Prater and Charlie, bro. Prater and Charlie were the best villains we've seen in so long. I was so sad when he killed Prater, bro. Honestly, like, I don't know if this is an unpopular opinion, but I was really hoping that we were gonna see Prater just be his benefactor and fucking hold shit down with the Bay Harbor Butcher. A little bit of a miss in my opinion, but dude turned angel into an angel, so I get it. I can only gush over Prater and Charlie so much, bro, but they really were some of the best parts of the series. Just the shifting dynamics alone between the three of them was such a roller coaster. And, you know, we didn't get as many Charlie scenes as I would have liked, but every scene we got was super impactful. So, again, make it a meme, whatever, bro. I'm not mad at it. One of my favorite Charlie lines was during the finale when she told Harrison if he was smart, if he was smart, he would leave, and that in the vault there was nothing good there. It's like such a great moment of subtext and foreshadowing, because clearly she's referring to not just the face value of the vault and the trophies and everything in there, but she's also telling Harrison that his dad is gonna get him killed someday. You know what I mean? Like, this is just, there's such depth behind this series that makes me gush over it, bro. I don't know. I love Charlie. I hope we see her again.
What?
How tall is Peter Dinklage? 4 or 5. That was the low. I will say, I love how Dexter is sort of reinventing and reestablishing his code. You know, in the past, we've seen him play very loosely with it. You know, he's always stealing cases from the police and was pretty liberal with who used to fit it. But I like that this time around, they're making him out to really only hunt, like, legit, vile serial killers. Again, it's another attempt to make him likable, I think. But I gotta say, I do miss the old Dexter. You know, I miss the Dexter that was conflicted about his darkness, and I think that's why it worked, because he wasn't a good person, you know? He wasn't trying to justify his existence. He knows what he's doing is wrong, but he can't stop and figures if I have to do it, I might as well do it this way. And sometimes that means compromising on his values, and it left the audience questioning if he really has them or not. But this time around, they're really trying to paint him as like this avenger of justice by just strictly going after these big name killers. Harry, I want some more, sir. Okay, so this is my legit first, like, actual gripe with Resurrection, and just like Dexter as a franchise, even though I love the franchise, I might be the only fucking person, like, in the world who has this opinion, but they love to paint Harry as this good stand-up father figure, like fucking apple pie, all-American dad. The dude created the worst/best serial killer in history. Throw a clip of, like, Dexter's meme calling him a little psycho in there. It's bad funny. And there's, like, glimpses of Dexter confronting him about it, but it's always like a fleeting realization, and then they go back to being like the fucking golden father-son duo. What I really need to see in Dexter moving forward is the realization that Harry didn't have his best interest at heart, that he fucking groomed him into a killing machine, okay? I think the reason we see this version of Harry for so long is because he's in Dexter's imagination. And honestly, like, if he ever has that realization, I think it honestly might break him. Maybe that's why they keep avoiding the subject material, but it's really the only logical next step for Dexter, I think. I love their relationship. It's wholesome and fun, but it's also disingenuous. I don't buy it. I never have. I think Dexter has a really warped view of Harry that I want to see get resolved. I don't think Harry was the father he thinks he was. I think every time he thinks of him, it's through rose-colored glasses. Symbols. One of my favorite pieces of symbolism in Resurrection, and there's a lot of it, but I don't know how long this video is actually going to be, so I'm just going to highlight my favorite one. How he disposes of the victims this time around. You know, fire is like a super versatile theme, and one of the main ones that it represents is rebirth. So it's ironic how he's ending lives on one hand and getting rid of them via the furnace, while also representing that he's reinventing himself. You know, he's rising from the ashes as a new Dexter Morgan, which we're seeing in real time, and it's a direct contrast to the original series from when he used to would throw them in the water, sink to the bottom, never seeing the light of day. You know what I mean? So it really does come full circle, and it works on so many levels. Another theme, honestly, though, that kind of snuck its way in, not super subtly, it's this brotherly bond theme. You know what I mean? Like I mentioned before with Mia's got her sister, Red has his brother, the Geminis are brothers. We see Brian again. You know, it's this philosophy and this theme of a sibling bond that is almost like deeper than anything else. So I don't know if like Jeff Lindsay has like a brother complex or something, but I don't know. It's super interesting theme that we keep seeing around, which makes me wonder, like, are we gonna see Harrison's siblings make a comeback? I feel like they're planting all these seeds for like a family reunion. So I'm interested to see if that's where it's gonna go. I want justice for Aster and Cody, to be honest with you. You know, it's first introduced with Red, obviously a direct parallel to Dexter. He talks about his brother, and that's kind of his driving force. This is a theme that, like, for some reason, Dexter cannot escape. Again, because that relationship with Brian, that feeling of closeness, they replicated it so well with Prater, so well. Like, it was, I really mean it, bro. Prater was the best villain we've seen in so long. But again, it's because of that exact context. Dexter needs his boy Brian back, dude. I don't know what else to say. Last thing, obviously the series is called Resurrection. Symbolism. There's so much symbolism comparing Dexter to God, Dexter to Jesus, Harrison to Jesus, like, and you know, some of it's heavy-handed. You know, they have Dexter on the table with the pins. So I'm wondering if where they're going is to kind of confront this growing ego that he has, that I think they're really symbolizing it throughout this series in particular, how big his ego's gotten, and that they're kind of painting him with a God complex. So I think they're planting the seeds for his downfall with that specifically. And that's like sort of this subtle piece of symbolism. This video was sponsored by my fucking cup of coffee right now. It's a glass ceramic cup. I'm drinking some pumpkin spice Dunkin' Donuts coffee right now. Shit is fire with my 8 million fucking spoons of sugar. If you're watching this video, leave a like. If you want, I guess. I'm not gonna fucking force you. You could subscribe though, that's cool. Definitely comment. That's your do that. Comment, please. I like comments. Okay, back to the video. Oliva and Wallace were great. I will say, Wallace might have been a little too played up, like autistically, LOL, but I think she did great, and I think the police work was good. I mean, everyone kind of glazes her in the show, but like with the information she has available to her, I don't think she really did anything like above and beyond that like Deb wouldn't do. You know, I think Deb and Lundy are still the standard for great police work in the series. Like the garbage bags with Ryan Foster's body, I feel like it's obvious to look for the ones that are tied the same when one of them had fucking body parts in it. And I think by comparison, you know, if you take the unis whenever they're on screen and they paint them as incompetent purposefully, any decent police work is gonna like look good compared to them. I feel like Dexter would have figured out the New York Ripper's weapon even without seeing it because of his expertise in blood spatter. And it seems like they really don't have any decent blood spatter analysts in New York until now. And also, like, she zoned in on Harrison very quickly, but that's also because Harrison made himself look so fucking obvious the whole time. Like, no wonder you're the prime suspect, bro. Like, you learned a lot from your dad. Oh man, you do not have the poker face. He lies and lies and lies, but this dude, his face fucking tells the truth constantly. Don't get me wrong, like, she's good, but I don't think as good as they give her credit for. Oliva was a good partner to her though, and I'm glad he wasn't just like thrown away to the side. He had pretty compelling insight whenever they spoke about cases and theories and shit, and he did a good job of keeping Wallace grounded throughout the series. I think they work really well together, and I think they're good foils for each other. They're honestly also pretty entertaining. I'm totally shipping them, by the way. With that being said, I can't talk about bad police work without mentioning the worst cop in Miami, and now New York history. In this corner, weighing 250 fucking pounds of all muscle and fedora, Angel Batista. R.I.P., buddy. You did not deserve to go out like that, but brother, you did it to yourself. I loved seeing Batista again, and they kind of tricked us at first, I think, into thinking he was gonna do some good police work, finally. But that was short-lived, unfortunately. He just, I don't know. I don't know, man. I don't know why they keep doing the same fucking thing. and going off on their own to bring Dexter in, like, you're asking to die. He also had zero evidence and just made himself look fucking crazy. What were all of your conversations about with Wallace, dude? Dexter said one line to her, and he fucking railroaded your entire investigation. And yes, I understand he was right about literally everything, but it's the way he went about it. Like the Lady Vengeance stuff, if Wallace doesn't put 2 and 2 together after finding out about Prater's Vault and Dexter and Harrison's involvement, I mean, it seems like Wallace is the type to not believe in coincidences, but for some reason, bro, Dexter just still flies under her radar. She's gonna look just as dumb as Batista in season 2, I think. You know, like, at the rate this is going, they might even offer this guy a job as Bloodspatter, because everyone has their blinders onto this guy. It's fucking white privilege at its finest, ladies and gentlemen. One last thing on Batista, though, before we move on. I was definitely sad when he died, but his whole arc here kind of seemed like it was just a way for them to completely wipe the Miami slate clean, unfortunately. You know, it's reminiscent of New Blood, where Angela, like, had all these suspicions, but with no, like, real reasoning as to why other than plot, which was one of the big believability issues New Blood had. Batista's role here in Resurrection, honestly, just kind of seemed like it was fuel for Wallace to start putting things together. And the only difference is that this time when she's gonna suspect Dexter, hopefully it's gonna feel earned, which is good, right? But unfortunately, it did come at the cost of Batista. Since we're talking about, like, police work, though, how did they know they were Prater's prints on the gun? Like, this guy, I'm sure, never had a rap sheet and would have no reason to be fingerprinted. Is that something they do when you get put into the foster care system? Like, I don't know. It's a small thing, and there's a couple, like, small things like that. LOL. I don't know how it happens, bro. I keep, like, making small jokes when it comes to Peter Dinklage. I'm sorry. I'm not doing it on purpose. Some of my best friends are short. I'm short. Psych. No, I am. It doesn't hinder my enjoyment, though. I'm sure Dexter could have fucking planted something else there if he really needed a reason for them to, other than a vault of fucking serial killer memorabilia, to link Prater to this. You know what I mean? Like, the fact that he's missing, I think, is enough. I don't think they needed to add the fingerprint line. Money. Okay, so here's the thing. I say this all the time, but I truly cannot fathom how much money actually went into this series. I have no idea where the fucking money came from, and that's kind of concerning. I feel like the social commentaries in Resurrection were very strong, so much so that I feel like they're almost hiding in plain sight, which is thematic, to say the least. Yeah, let's cut that out before I get fucking killed. They have so many A-list actors in the series, plus they're paying for the rights for so much music. Like, so much music, bro. If you clip out all of the montages and music transitions in the series, I really feel like you can make a full-length episode just with all the montages. And, you know, in the grand scheme of things, I completely understand why Original Sin was canceled from a production point of view. Honestly, dude, between the two series, they just hemorrhaged money. Don't get me wrong, it was well spent, but holy shit. I think they spent more money on this series than most of us will make in our fucking lifetimes combined. So I guess what I'm saying is that I do wish they chilled out with the music and stuff a little bit, because I feel like a lot of that time could have been utilized better with fleshing out more characters, but I mean, I guess it is what it is. It wasn't like a huge deficit, I guess, it was just one of the thoughts I had after listening to Staying Alive for the fucking 80th time. This season was fucking fire. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it, alright? It's very much a social commentary with a lot to say, and I think they delivered it very well in my opinion. A lot of times when a show has a comeback like this, it really falls flat, but Dexter fucking stuck this landing, bro. A lot of my gripes, admittedly, you know, are completely, I mean, not completely superficial, but, and more of them have to do, I guess, with my own personal opinions on the direction of the series, and just like noticing some things that are heavy-handed. Again, just for the sake of transparency, I feel like I just have to throw all my thoughts out there. I try to stay objective though, in my opinion, but I mean, I love Dexter, man. Even when it's not great, thematically, it always hits, you know? I think the lowest points sometimes are the execution of certain things. This time around, it was so well-rounded, and it's such a blast to watch, bro. I loved seeing the Miami crew again. even though it was short-lived, but I'm hoping they make a comeback in season 2. Maybe they move him on down to New York, you know what I'm saying? I would kill for a fucking Masuka and Wallace interaction. Like, you cannot tell me that wouldn't be fucking gold, bro. Oh my god. Like, I'm laughing just thinking about it. I did hear a rumor, though, that this was written and shot in like 6 months or something like that, and if that's true, holy shit. The quality of it was astronomical to begin with, and to know how quickly it was put together, Jesus Christ. Like, I think Clyde Phillips might actually be the one who fucking resurrected, because this guy's the honored one, if that's the case. Static. Honestly, though, the one thing I am upset about that we didn't see was Rita. Like, I don't know why they're so against bringing her and the kids back, even as a vision or just something with some closure. You know, we even saw Dokes back, like, and she was arguably one of the most formative people in Dexter's life. You know, she deserves some motherfucking justice, dude. Justice for Rita. Hashtag justice for Rita. My girl. It just seems a little insulting. You know what I mean? That he's all in on being a father when he fucking abandoned Aster and Cody when they needed him most. I mean, like, I'm glad we got the logical next step for Dexter, but I mean, it was already there waiting for season 5. You know what I mean? Like, it's always been weird to me that we had to wait like 6 more seasons for this, for him to be a father. Alrighty, internet. That's the video. I want to say thank you guys for tuning in and for, you know, taking the time out of your day to listen to me rant about something that I love. It is a fucking dark world out there. So if you made it this far, I just want you guys to, like, kind of promise me something, that you're gonna do at least one thing that you love a day. And I know that this might sound kind of out of character for me, but I'm definitely, like, not a stranger to, like, feeling alone. And I think in today's day and age, it's not hard at all to. That's, like, the whole reason I started this channel to begin with. But, you know, I think one of my favorite characters in the series was Brother Sam, and I think he was right about a lot of things. Specifically about how just a little light goes a long way. So leave a comment, let me know what you think, and let me know what it is that you love to do. It's not gonna happen overnight, but just, you know, try to give yourself a little bit of light every now and then. And to quote my favorite book series, poorly, I might add, all these weirdos and me getting a little better every day, right in the midst of them. I'd never known, never even imagined for a heartbeat that there might be a place for people like us. Thank you guys again. It really does mean a lot. Alright, I won't hold you guys hostage anymore. Have a great day or night, and peace out.